and do their thing. And when they actually start doing their tasks are actually going to be very small. Even though it may take 2 weeks, it could be 5 minutes of babysitting a day, and then it really is an easy story. It's not going to show up as done till the very end. So it's a little, you will get weird cases like that. Yeah, I think, go on to the next one. I think that might be, it is the end. All right, so any questions? Yeah. The cone of uncertainty. Anyone else?
With the stories where it's easy work to build a lot of it, another thing you can do is just break the difficulty of work with the amount of work. So one thing you can do is split it into smaller pieces where it's like, okay, I'm going to do this amount of easy work with one task and this amount of easy work with another task. Where you could just say, okay, each part of each individual task is easy, but there's lots of them, so it's still not a small task.
Yeah, if there's a lot to be done, sometimes it's worth making the story a larger task, or a larger size. I mean, that's really it. The estimation, the estimation is the biggest trap. Like I said, it's really easy for teams to start equating points to time. I even had it happen, a team that was doing great, they were doing a lot of good work, they were doing great estimation, everything was getting more accurate, and I finally heard somebody say something one day that made me start paying attention a little more, and I realized that they had started equating 1 point to 1 developer day. And so when they said 2, they thought it would take 1 guy 2 days, and when they said 3, 1 guy 3 days, and I actually stopped using points. I started using T-shirt sizes. You know, and they're still doing the math in their heads and figuring out, okay, well now an extra small is a 1, and right, and it is a common trap. But yeah, it's always having to come back to that of saying, it's not about that. It's just, you know, is this story harder than that one? Is this one going to, you know, take more cycles than this other one? Yeah. Yes. Well, sometimes I erased it. Sometimes it ends up a chase. For example, we had one team that did the affinity estimation, which is how you do the epic estimation, right? Bigger, smaller, bigger, smaller. And we came up with what we thought a point size for each of the features was going to be. And we had made that our target. And we started working toward it. But every time there was discovered work, the goal got further away. And so what you had was, instead of the straight line across the top, it started here, and the team got this far. And then the next sprint, it was now here, and the team then got that far, and it's a chase. And this is another perfectly reasonable tool to use, because if you actually have that pace of work, then you know that as you go, you're going to need to hit up here, not down here where it originally was. And it's not uncommon for this to happen, especially early. As you're like, oh, more work, holy moly, right? The whole thing of adding new stories as you discover whole things that you didn't think of at the start. But ideally, this will level off and actually allow the team to chase it, yeah. Because again, as you get closer to the end, ideally there is less and less, fewer surprises. And you can also have other things. You can get to something playable and on reviewing it think, oh my gosh, we need to change this whole thing. So now work that you did before needs to be redone, and what that does is it moves the line higher. Right? You're not resurfacing those. You're writing new stories and doing new estimates for the changes that you have to make to get the product to where you want it. But the whole time, every single sprint, you always have the ability to look and see, well, with these changes, where does that put us? And that is really what Agile allows you to do. It allows you to see way back early, as early as possible, how you're tracking, even when you don't have 90% of the stories estimated. And it allows you to have conversations about, do we need to cut scope? Do we need more people? Do we need more time? Do we need overtime, right? And that's conversations that can happen. But it's a lot better to have it happen here than what has happened before Agile, where teams would say, okay, we need to make this thing, here's the things we need to do, we do it, we get to the end, and we're like, wow, we're nowhere close, right? But there was no way to know that before, right? And now this allows, even though you don't, it's a cone of uncertainty because you're not certain. You don't know exactly where it's going to end up, but you can reliably say that, on a project where you're planning for about a year, you can say, all right, well, are we coming in at 10 to 12 months, or are we coming in at 18, right? And that's what you need to know as soon as possible. Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you very much.